morning guys. What's up, Jamal? Welcome to our RAPO Surfboards.
Hey, thanks for welcoming a journalist on here, and we're just going to be looking at the process for making beta surfboards.
Alright, cool. Let's take a walk from where it all starts in the shaping room and then go from there.
Alright, tell us a little about RAPO Surfboards.
Right, well here we are. In the background we have a couple of my surfboards, my personal surfboards. And how we get to that stage, basically it all starts with the shaping room. And in the shaping room we take the raw blank, which I'll show you what a blank looks like. And we use saws and a planer to plane it into the shape, desired shape. Can take anywhere from about an hour to 3 to 4 hours depending on the size of the board.
Okay, well let's go check out the shaping room.
Let's go.
So this is what a blank looks like.
So yeah, this one is a 6'4". It's an Australian blank. It's done by a fella called Rod McDonald, and it's an Extra is the company name. And there's many different types of blanks. And this is pretty much what a raw blank looks like when it starts. Wooden stringer can vary from blank to blank. Some boards even have more than one stringer. But basically from here we draw a shape out using templates. And a template is just a piece of hardboard. It looks something like this. This is actually one of Chelsea Tuat's templates. And this is a full board, so this is ready to put down. You make the measurements just to know exactly what measurements you want, and then this template would fit in based on its own dimensions, and you draw that shape out. Once you've drawn the shape, then the next thing is you can use a jigsaw, or I actually prefer to use a regular sharp hand saw. Keep it sort of, you want to cut very parallel, keep the rails very straight because you've got two surfaces. So having the shape here and cut in at any angles will deviate the shape on the top. So it takes a little bit of practice, but practice makes perfect. And so from there, then we got different tools. The main tool is the planer, kind of dusty looking planer, but planer is not plugged in, or is it? It's not plugged in, but he makes some noise. And this one is actually not a traditional planer, which is either Clark foam or there's another, or Skill was the original old school. This is actually a Black & Decker that's now on the market. You can buy it in any of the hardware stores. But it works really nice. It's nice and light, it's small, does the job for me. And maybe I'll aspire to picking up another new original surfboard planer, but it seems to work so nice that I don't really feel like I need one.
Okay. What you showed me, the Chelsea Tuat's template. Are there any other?
Sure, there's all kinds. I mean, templates are taken. This is a board. This is another Almeric. This one here was an Eric Arakawa surfboard. This one is an Almeric, and I sort of take templates of interesting boards from two of the top shapers in the world, Almeric and Eric Arakawa, two of the best. But every surfboard that comes in, I can just draw an outline. And then what I will do a lot of times is I will actually blend more than one template, sometimes 3 templates, to create a shape of my own. And once I've created that shape, then in several cases I've labeled them. I now have about 6 different models. And we can have a look at a few of those where we actually look at some finished boards. Well, locally, most recently I did a few for Danny Egel, and did 2 actually. And one of them he's really happy with. So, and then outside of that, I've done boards for Chelsea Tuat, I've done boards for quite a few of the surfers, but mostly the kids though. The kids, I mean, all the kids are coming to me. Yeah. And with the kids' boards, you start a relationship from that young, and kids will sort of get accustomed to what they're riding. You'll be able to feel them out, watch them, improve your shapes to suit them as they get bigger. And hopefully along the way they'll all become professional surfers and stick with RAPO. Of course there's so many boards out there. Almeric is more than likely the most popular in the world, and there are a few other ones that will rank with that. And of course everyone wants the best. I think that with what I'm doing now, and with the ability to have the computer shaping machine at my disposal through a friend in Florida who has a business shaping boards by computer, I combine the best of both worlds now. I order boards that are already cut, and I'll show you in a few minutes what a sort of a machine surfboard looks like, which makes my work a a lot easier because it eliminates a whole lot of machine work. Now I just have to fine tune and touch and sand and adjust concaves and boom, ready to go.
So how does that process work? Do you actually send your designs and then
yes, I basically they create
computer?
yeah, they create files for me because I'm not there. I can't take boards and have them scan it, which will put that board into the system. But they have so many files anyway of boards that range from, you know, Eric Arakawa all the way through the full spectrum of boards you probably never even heard of. So what the computer can do is if you come up with your basic numbers, your tail measurement, your width, and your nose being the most important, then from there you can decide how much rocker you want, how much nose rocker, how much tail rocker, and the computer can then select a profile that will fit those measurements and give you that rocker. And by pressing a few buttons you can adjust the template. And the nice thing about that is that what would take me or any shaper, you know, a lot of trial and error to adjust boards, the computer does it in a few minutes. So it's very easy now to take a board that the surfer says, yes, good, but you know what, or if I see someone and they're just maybe sticking here or not really getting the release I think that they should be getting, then we can go back to the computer and say, right, let's just torque the tail just a little bit more and see if that gives them, maybe adjust the concaves or change the concaves. I think that's a pretty remarkable, to be able to have that is pretty special. And short of buying my own machine, which is quite expensive, I can just get boards shipped down like that. Also have the ability to have them made in the States, as in glass with my logos. I will just go finish them and actually bring a finished board. But for now, this is my passion. I enjoy the work. It's nasty work in some respects, especially the glassing, but I enjoy it, and my intention is to produce the best quality surfboard that I can. Well, with our present surf industry, which has grown significantly over the last 10 years, now there's hundreds of kids that are surfing, and not only are they, not only they're surfing well, they're improving quickly. The coaches that are around and the guys that give lessons, to name a few, Zed, Alan Burke, Nick Donowa, there's quite a few people, Barry Banfield and Melanie Pitcher, they're all teaching kids to surf. And then, you know, bringing them forward from just standing on a pretty big stable board, and then within a few years they're moving down to something that suits their size, and we're talking 4'9" to probably 5'5" for these kids. Once they get now to a board that's actually suiting them and working for them, and one that they can get right here within a week, in most cases even a few days sometimes, that's a big advantage. It will. Our top young surfers are away at Panama right now, and just about everywhere they go these days, they all get memorable and remarkable results. First, seconds, always in the finals, making it pretty far through. That says a lot. And even though they may not all be riding Rapos, and I'd be glad to say that would be a contribution for me that would be fantastic. But at the same time, they're representing Barbados, and my boards are in the crowd. And the boards are progressing, and these kids are traveling, and they're getting accustomed to the designs, and we're able to adjust them and keep the kids moving forward all the time. And that, I think, is brilliant. Yeah, kite board slash toe board. This is a very interesting shape. It's owned by Stephen from Red Eye, and it was designed by Pete Cabrina in Hawaii, and he's a guy that has ridden Jaws, which is one of the biggest waves in the world. And you know, you would think you'd ride a pretty big board on waves at 40, 50, even 60 feet tall, but this is actually a 5'3", and this is what he has designed for riding a Jaws. And you wouldn't believe that a board so small could ride a wave that big. But he's asked me to reproduce this for him. So basically I've gone in and started a shape which is just about complete, which has the same shape as that Pete Cabrina board that you're looking at up there. This is styrofoam, it weighs nothing, feel it. It's like, you know, but it's very delicate too, so you handle it very carefully. But nonetheless, this now just needs a little fine tuning. In fact, he's supposed to come and have a look at it to sort of prove that he's happy with the thickness. It's a little bit different to that one, a little bit more rail on it, and I don't know how important that is to him, but when he comes he'll make a decision on if he's happy to go ahead. If not, then I'll slim that rail down just a little bit more. But essentially, it's pretty much ready. It's 95% complete.
Is this the first RAPO?
This, not well. I did one for another guy, but he wanted it sort of kite slash surf. He wanted a board, so his board was a bit big to suit him for paddling. With kiteboarding, you got the kite to pull you, so I mean, you can really go down to. It's not a traditional kiteboard. The traditional kiteboards are more like wakeboards. They're sort of double-ended. But this is a kiteboard that's for surfing the waves more than jumping. It can jump as well. It's the reason why the other one is cracked in half is probably from landing a pretty heavy jump. But anyway, this is for just totally ripping waves while you're kite surfing and getting nice jumps. And it's, you know, up to now I haven't tried it because I figure it might be a little bit more than I could have in my life right now. I might get addicted to that. And next thing you know, I will be at Silver Sands every day. This is a high performance board, and obviously it's still a surfboard. So everything else that goes into a normal surfboard goes into the kiteboard. Maybe some things are a little bit different. Maybe the rocker lines can be a little bit different depending on how fast you want to go, how important speed is on a wave or just going through the waves and kiteboarding in general. But for sure, when you do get on a wave, you want a board that with that kind of speed is going to handle the turn and do the maneuvers that you want it to do. So because it's getting smaller and narrower and you're being pulled by a kite, you know, the boards are a little bit different. But as you can see, it doesn't really look different to any surfboard. The only difference is that the other one has straps and this one has some straps on as well. So here's a white board. We didn't need to do any painting on this. But then two of my kind of custom airbrushes, I go a bit wacko sometimes with colors and stuff and produce some sort of Rapson looking designs and, you know, just blends of colors, and it looks a bit like a kid did it. But it's kind of cool. I think it's unique to RAPO, in fact. And from that perspective, I really like the fact that it's original. So you don't have to see the name on a RAPO surfboard. Once you see it in distance and you see a design like that, you'll be like, yeah, another RAPO. Another one, this is going very Bajan, and yellow, blue and black, love the colors, represent Barbados. White bottom, some decals, a little scribble. This was actually done on the finished surface, whereas this is done underneath. Difference is that this is done with an acrylic paint pen, and you can draw just about any design you want. I mean, as elaborate as you want to go, and use those paint pens to color it in, and then you put a little glaze of a clear coat of matte lacquer to sort of seal it. And it is wearing off, and I did spray it, but after a while, from just being on the beach and rubbing around, and actually friction of water moving over it when you're surfing it, starts to take the colors off. The nice thing is that we can just come and touch it all back up and make it look new. Whereas this is finished, this is underneath, we can't get at this anymore. The hand paints I'm doing are very simple in my mind. They're very easy and very cost effective. Just a little bit of paint and you know, a little bit of inspiration, and boom, and that's done. That probably could be done within about a half an hour. For other conventional airbrush designs, which I have a compressor, and I use the compressor to spray various designs according to what people want. But it's time consuming, and I find if I can pick up a paintbrush and just create a nice little design like that, I find that's way to go.
Cool. So Andrew, this is your glassy area right here?
Yeah, the sticky, smelly room, coming from dust into fumes and glue. Yeah, so tools of the trade, basically a squeegee, resin, liquid form.
So what I'm smelling right now, that strong scent is
resin. Yeah, once it's opened, it starts to evaporate.
Obviously, so, you have masks here.
Yeah. Actually, let me grab my mask quickly. Being that this is basically what a mask looks like. It makes you look a bit like an alien once it's in place, and you can still speak through it. Yeah, it's on. I can still say, "Hey, what's happening?" Anyway, squeegee, resin. Apply the resin on in bits at a time, and just use the squeegee to just maneuver the resin around, wetting the cloth out as you go. And the idea is to wet the entire surface out with the resin, and then you come back and we wrap these rails down with squeegee. The squeegee is actually very good for it because it pulls that cloth in, and you get that cloth to smoothing all the way across and around. I'm using Suncure resin, which means that its catalyst is not liquid. It's actually the sunshine, UV rays.
Which is excellent for the island that you live on.
Correct, and it's brilliant for work in general because you're no longer now under time constraints with hardener added where you only have a certain period of time to finish the job. With this you can actually walk away. If the phone rings, you can stop doing what you're doing, answer the phone, you can come back. So given beautiful conditions like what we have today, for example, like when that's finished glass and I take it out in the sun, let it sit for about 5 minutes on the top, turn it around, make sure I get a good coverage, and then turn it over so that where the rails are wrapped, that all dries, and then it comes back in here, touch the edges up, and then turn it over. The bottom is now glass, and then do the same process again. Roll out the cloth now, wrapping down onto the bottom. So you actually end up with the top layer wrapping over the bottom layer. So now you've got 2, even 3 layers on the rail, which gives you a pretty good strength and also some weight too. A board like this is going to have 4 layers of cloth, 2 on the bottom and 2 on the top, possibly even a foot patch. When it's done, it will have a medium weight. I'm not even sure what one of this size board will be, but a surfboard, a small surfboard, 6-foot range can be anything like 5 to 7 pounds these days. That's sort of a comp type board. Basically, and I've actually started sanding this board already, but this board is pretty much in the sanding process. I got a couple of different machines. The first one is a grinder, which the grinder just takes down the bigger bumps and sands off fin boxes. Fin boxes are designed that they're a little bit raised so that you come with the grinder and you basically sand all the bigger heavy areas around and just touch up the rails where the cloth is sticking up any bumps for shooting. This little round guy here, got a little template. It takes on, come, boom, draw that hole, and then your plug inserts and it sticks up a bit. So the grinder, that's the last job the grinder does before I switch then to the finer sand machine. Basic, smaller, less powerful machine than the grinder. The grinder is doing harder work and cutting bigger lumps. This small guy now is using 80 grit sandpaper. Some people might use 60. 80 I think is pretty much standard. And from here now, this kind of just fine-tunes the whole. I'm not going to dust everybody out right now, but this basically now cleans it down and makes it ready for the next stage, which is the final coat of resin in some cases. In a comp board, maybe this becomes the last stage. And then just a little special compound that seals any little pinholes. Resin is kind of porous, and it does, even though you can't see it with the naked eye, it's probably got pinholes over it, and when you sand, you break those little tiny bubbles that you didn't even see in the resin. And they have a sealer that then comes and rubs over it like almost like a polishing compound and gives it a nice luster, fills all of those holes, gives it a little bit of UV protectant and makes it ready for the next stage. Put in some wax on it and a tail pack and a shot board and go surfing.